All right, everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. You ready to explore some seriously cool tech?
Always ready to dive in.
Me too. And today we're taking a close look at DeepSeek. Have you heard of this thing?
Oh yeah, DeepSeek, it's all over the tech blogs. Everyone's talking about it.
It's like the AI assistant that's got everyone buzzing.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And for good reason, too. It's not just another chatbot.
We've got a podcast transcript here from Tech Horizons and some promotional material. And wow, this thing sounds like a total game changer.
I was just reading about how DeepSeek is being used by researchers. It's incredible.
So for our listeners out there, let's break down what DeepSeek actually is and why it's causing such a stir.
Sounds good.
The Tech Horizons episode calls it the Swiss Army knife of AI. And after reading through all this, I can see why.
It really does seem to be able to handle just about anything.
Right, from super technical stuff like debugging code to creative things like writing poetry, even explaining quantum computing.
There's this anecdote in the podcast where they talk about DeepSeek explaining quantum mechanics to a 12-year-old using Taylor Swift metaphors.
Wait, what? Quantum physics and T Swift now? That's a combo I never thought I'd hear.
Right. It's pretty wild.
Okay, but seriously, how does this thing compare to other AI assistants? We've got Siri, we've got Alexa, Google Assistant. Is this just another one to add to the list?
I think DeepSeek is operating on a whole other level. Those other assistants are great for everyday tasks. You know, setting reminders, checking the weather.
Right, but DeepSeek, this is like next level AI. They're talking about people using it for fusion energy research. That's heavy stuff.
And that's where this whole learning aspect of DeepSeek comes in. This is what really sets it apart.
The podcast talks about how at first DeepSeek would just give you basic textbook answers on fusion energy. You know, the kind of stuff you'd find in a general science book.
Which makes sense. It's got to start somewhere, right?
Exactly. But then, get this, as the users started asking more and more nuanced questions, DeepSeek's answers actually evolved.
It was learning from the interaction and refining its understanding.
And not just refining it, actually started suggesting totally new cutting-edge reactor designs.
Designs that had never even been proposed before.
So it wasn't just like pulling info from a database, it was actually synthesizing all this knowledge and generating brand new insights.
That's the power of machine learning in action. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
We hear all the time about AI learning, but to see it actually applied in such a practical way, it's amazing.
It makes you wonder what other problems we could solve with this kind of AI at our fingertips.
But hold on a sec. Whenever we talk about an AI that learns from us, there's always that question about data privacy.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge concern for a lot of people, and rightfully so.
Right. Like, what are they doing with all our info? Are they cracking our every move?
The Tech Horizons podcast makes it clear that DeepSeek is super serious about privacy. They use this analogy of a discreet butler, always there to help, but never overstepping boundaries.
I love that image. So it's like having a brilliant assistant, but one who's also sworn to secrecy.
Exactly. And they emphasize that DeepSeek doesn't store or hoard your queries like some other AI assistants might do.
And they use AES 256 encryption for all your data.
That's like the gold standard for data security banks.
Yeah.
And governments use it to protect their most sensitive information.
So if they're using that level of encryption with DeepSeek, we can be pretty confident our info is safe.
It seems like they've gone to great lengths to address those privacy concerns.
Okay, so DeepSeek, it's versatile, it learns and evolves, it's committed to keeping our data private. But let's get down to brass tacks here. How are people actually using this in the real world?
Well, from what we've gathered, it's being used all over the place.
They talk about a teacher in Nairobi using it to design super engaging science lessons for their students.
Tailoring them to the local context, that's pretty cool.
And then there's a startup founder in Miami who credits DeepSeek with helping them create a totally viral marketing campaign.
Talk about real-world impact.
And then we've got researchers in Kyoto using it to analyze climate data, trying to find solutions to climate change.
It's like this global phenomenon impacting so many different fields.
So it's not just for techies, it's for educators, entrepreneurs, researchers. It's for anyone who wants to push the boundaries of what's possible.
It really seems like DeepSeek is democratizing access to powerful AI technology.
And that brings us to another really interesting aspect, the whole creative potential of DeepSeek.
This is where things get really exciting.
The podcast host talks about using DeepSeek's creative mode to brainstorm plot twists for a story. And get this, the story is about sentient sourdough starters.
Sentient sourdough starters. That's a new one.
I know, right? And it gets even better. This brainstorming session actually led to a full-blown comedy horror script that's now in development.
So DeepSeek is helping people tap into their creative potential. That's wild.
It really makes you wonder what the limits of this thing are. But before we get too carried away with sentient sourdough starters, we have to address this one detail from the podcast. It's just too mind-blowing.
Oh, you're talking about how the entire Tech Horizons podcast about DeepSeek was actually scripted using DeepSeek itself.
Exactly. They used Google Notebook LM, which is powered by, you guessed it, DeepSeek, to write the whole episode.
That's some serious meta stuff right there.
It's like this AI is becoming self-aware.
It really makes you think about the future of content creation. I mean, if AI can script a whole podcast, what else can it do?
It's both exciting and a little bit unnerving, right?
Definitely we're entering uncharted territory here.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, but there's still so much more to explore.
We've only just scratched the surface of DeepSeek's potential and its impact on the world.
Yeah.
So, that whole thing we were talking about with DeepSeek and its creative side.
Oh yeah, the sentient sourdough starter story.
Right, that really stuck with me. It's pretty amazing to think that an AI could help someone write a story.
I know, it's like, where does the AI end and the human begin,
That's a really good question. And it makes you think about what creativity really is like. Is it something only humans can do, or can AI be creative too?
It's weird to think of an AI as a muse, but the podcast host was talking about how they'd hit a wall with their writing, and they actually used DeepSeek's creative mode to jumpstart their imagination.
So they'd give it a prompt and just see what DeepSeek came up with?
Yeah, they gave it sentient sourdough starter, and apparently DeepSeek just went nuts with it, all these crazy plot twists and scenarios.
And I think that's what's so cool about it. It's not just about DeepSeek coming up with the ideas on its own. It's about how those ideas can then spark our own creativity.
It's like having a brainstorming partner, but one that has access to an infinite library of possibilities.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder how this could change the way we approach all kinds of creative fields like art, music, writing.
Right. Could AI become the go-to tool for artists and writers? Could it help us break through creative blocks and come up with things we never would have thought of on our own?
It's exciting, but also a little scary. Could we become too reliant on AI to do the creative heavy lifting for us?
That's a good point. Would we start to lose our own creative spark if we always had AI there to help us?
Well, I think it's all about finding the right balance,
Right.
Using AI as a tool to enhance our own abilities, not to replace them.
A painter still needs to know how to use a brush, even if they're using AI to help them come up with ideas.
Right. It's about collaboration, not just letting the AI take over.
The Tech Horizons episode actually talked about how AI could help democratize creativity, making it more accessible to people who might not have the resources or training to pursue traditional artistic paths.
That's an interesting idea. Imagine if anyone could use AI to tell their stories or create art, regardless of their background or experience.
Kind of a beautiful thought, right?
It is, but let's not get too lost in the hypothetical here.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about the potential of DeepSeek, but we also need to ground this conversation in reality. How are people actually using DeepSeek right now to make a difference?
Right, we keep mentioning that teacher in Nairobi who's using it to create those awesome science lessons.
And the startup founder in Miami who used DeepSeek to come up with that viral marketing campaign.
And let's not forget those researchers in Kyoto using DeepSeek to analyze climate data.
They're using it to model the effects of climate change and hopefully find solutions.
It's amazing to see this one tool being used in so many different ways and in so many different fields.
And what's really cool is that it's not just big institutions using DeepSeek, it's individuals, small teams, everyday people.
It's like AI is finally becoming accessible to everyone.
And as AI technology continues to evolve, we're probably going to see even more of this, AI becoming an integral part of our lives.
It's exciting, but it also kind of makes you think, what are the implications of all this? How do we navigate this new world where AI is everywhere?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think it's crucial that we have these conversations, that we talk about the ethical considerations, the potential risks, the responsibility we have in shaping the future of AI.
We need to be mindful of the potential downsides while also embracing the incredible opportunities that AI presents.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance, but it's a conversation we need to be having right now. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into DeepSeek. I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
I know, right? There's so much to unpack with this AI.
We started by talking about just how versatile DeepSeek is. It can handle coding, right? Poetry, explain really complicated scientific concepts.
And it does all that while keeping your data super secure with that military-grade encryption.
Right, and then there's that whole learning aspect of DeepSeek that's a real game changer.
Yeah, it's not just giving you canned responses, it's actually learning and growing as you interact with it.
Like that example with the fusion energy research. DeepSeek actually suggested completely new reactor designs.
Designs that no one had ever thought of before.
Exactly, and it makes you wonder what other amazing discoveries are waiting to be unlocked with DeepSeek's help.
But it's not all about science and technology, right? We also talked about DeepSeek's potential to boost human creativity.
Oh yeah, the sentient sourdough starter story.
That was wild. I never thought I'd see the day when AI can help you come up with plot twists for a comedy horror script.
It's like having this incredibly imaginative partner in the creative process.
Someone who can help you break through those mental blocks and come up with truly unique ideas.
And speaking of pushing boundaries, we can't forget that crazy meta moment where we learned that the entire Tech Horizons podcast about DeepSeek was actually scripted using DeepSeek itself.
Yeah, they used Google Notebook LM, which is powered by DeepSeek, to write the whole episode.
It's like the AI is becoming self-aware. It's pretty mind-blowing.
It makes you think about the future of content creation. Like, are we heading toward a world where AI is writing books, screenplays, everything?
It's definitely a possibility, and it raises a lot of questions about the role of human creativity in a world where AI is so prevalent.
Right, like how do we make sure that AI is used ethically and responsibly in creative fields?
Those are questions that we need to be thinking about right now as AI technology continues to advance.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into DeepSeek, I think the main takeaway is this AI is a huge leap forward. It has the potential to revolutionize so many aspects of our lives.
From the way we work, to the way we learn, to the way we create.
We need to be mindful of the implications. You know, we need to make sure that we're using AI as a force for good in the world.
It's up to all of us to shape the future of AI and ensure that it benefits humanity as a whole.
If this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to go explore DeepSeek for yourself. See what it can do for you.
Whether you're working on a complex project, trying to unlock your creative potential, or just wanting to learn something new, DeepSeek is an incredible tool that's now available to everyone.
And as always, we want to hear from you. Share your thoughts, your discoveries, your concerns about the world of AI.
Let's keep this conversation going because the future of AI is being shaped right now, and it's a future we all have a stake in.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep asking questions because the world of AI is full of possibilities and it's up to us to make sure those possibilities lead to a brighter future for everyone.